Hi everyone, my name is Lynette Davis with A&D Media and your host of Marketing Superheroines and Superheroes Unite. So I am so delighted. I have a very special guest with me today, Miss Natalie Dean, who is just taking time out of her super busy schedule to come on and share some awesome sauce with you. So Natalie, welcome.
Hi, Lynette. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, it is bright and early, but I'm happy to talk to you.
Awesome, awesome. So, Natalie, um, do you mind sharing a little bit about yourself and how you serve the world with your unique superpowers, your USP?
Sure. All right. I love that term, by the way. So I have 8 years experience, actually 9 years experience in public relations. I got my degree in mass media arts with a concentration in public relations from Clark Atlanta University, and then went out into the working world, working for public relations agencies in New York, in Philadelphia, and now I'm in Washington, D.C. I've done everything from corporate PR to crisis PR, a little bit of Olivia Pope, and I've even done multicultural PR, which was actually really fun and new dynamic. And then now I'm in educational nonprofit PR. So I've kind of dabbled in all types of industry sectors, but I love the PR industry as a whole.
Awesome, awesome. So, can you tell me a little bit about the intersection between public relations, this awesome superpower that not many of us have, and other forms of marketing and getting your message out there.
So a lot of it is integrated. Public relations, marketing, advertising, um, social media is a form of all of those in a way. It's all integrated more now than ever. We see a lot of the blurred lines, but public relations at the absolute foundation, at the absolute core, is relating to the public, right? And so it's determining what drives your audience, who they are, where they get their media sources, and relating to them. How can we bring a product or a service to them that resonates with them so that they act on it and they use it or they buy it or they subscribe to it? In a very similar way, marketing allows you to dissect your audience and then like I said, relate to them in a way that stirs them to make an action. So there's in the past, there's been a lot of differentiation, but as we are in this ever evolving industry, we're noticing that the lines are starting to blur a bit. So, yeah.
Awesome. Now, I know when I first started out, I was so very curious about public relations. You know, how you take all those personality tests, and a lot of mine would say something along like, "You would be great in that field." And I chose social media because I was like, good enough.
Right.
So I am curious, and I'm sure other people who, are maybe new to marketing or they're even established in marketing, but they feel like there's something missing out of their piece. What can you tell us a little bit about the difference between traditional PR and, how the PR component that is social media so that we can kind of see and understand the difference?
Sure. Well, first, I want to back up and say that social media is public relations. So you weren't far off in terms of your personality test. You probably still did hit it on the head. And the interaction that I've had with you to date has confirmed for me that you would be great in this field. But what we saw a few years ago, even I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, um, traditional public relations was we always had a middleman, and that was the media channel. So the company, organization, product, service would go through the media channels of the newspaper, the magazine, print, broadcast, media channels. And that was their way of getting their message to their audience. So what we now have with the birth of social media, which is awesome, is we've almost eliminated, not completely, but we've almost eliminated the middleman so that we can talk directly to the consumer, directly to our target audience. So I think it's amazing in that it's a more of a personalized experience. Um, in ways, it can bite you back because now that also means you have thousands, hundreds, millions of consumers that have direct access to you as well. So anytime now, Delta Airlines, for example, has a Twitter page. They have thousands of passengers flying Delta every day. God forbid there be a bad experience on a flight, they could get thousands and thousands of tweets talking about the, discomfort or inconvenience that customers have experienced. So in one way, in the olden days, we channeled our messages through the media, as much real-time feedback from our clients as we hoped. But now we've kind of unlifted that veil, and there's this two-way communication, which is great, and sometimes it has its downsides. But those are the differentiating factors from traditional to digital PR.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to dig a little deep into this because
Mm-hmm.
I know this is probably a question that you might get a lot as a PR person. But, with social media, and I'm going to bring it all home, with social media, those of us who are, I would say, early adapters and who are purists, we're all about the relationships that
Mm-hmm.
you can foster because of tools like social media.
Absolutely. Right.
Even in the PR, it's about being able to connect directly with the audience or with, maybe a larger media publication that you now have access to because of the accessibility of
Mm-hmm.
social media. However, you did say something about a downside to that. And I know a lot of people who are still hesitant to jump on certain social media platforms to do this outreach that they now have access to. And one of the reasons is because they're so afraid that they might say something or do something wrong. And we have seen this happen in social
Mm-hmm.
media where somebody used a hashtag that was totally attributed to something else and they didn't do their research first. So so I am curious, if you don't mind sharing, do you have, a tip for someone who might encounter such an experience where there's a bit of a crisis?
Right. So, yes, so the first thing I would say is to know your audience and know their tone, um, and know that your message is going to have to differ based on the social media platform you're using. So, because there's different audiences on different platforms. So we see that there are an older generation now on Facebook than there was 8 years ago. We know that there is more of a business savvy, um, more business savvy use on LinkedIn and Twitter now, and the younger generation is using Instagram and Snapchat and those types of things. The first thing is to know your audience, know where they are using their time on social media, and then use that to kind of craft your tone. I mean, of course, even in one-on-one conversations, we do sometimes tend to maybe say the wrong thing or get off the wrong impression. And the other thing, um, one of the downsides to social media is everything is the typed word. So a lot of emotions can get misconstrued when it's in a text form versus when you're talking to someone. But I say all that to say it's never a bad idea to, if you say something that rubs someone the wrong way, if you're misusing a word or a hashtag, clean it up and clean it up immediately. That's like one of the first rules of crisis PR. If you've made a mistake, you own it and you address it immediately. Everybody makes mistakes. No one is, immune to being a human. But as long as you quickly address it, own it, and turn it around, I think there's redemption for everyone, I would hope. Um, but yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I want to get into a little techie talk here. I
Okay.
know that you are wearing, the multiple arms thing here. So I know that you're doing PR for an educational company, as well as you are also running the ship over at your site that's for women and empowering women, which is Wine and Cheese, which is how I came to know you.
Hmm.
So I am curious, do you have any tools of the trade that you are using to combine these superpowers of PR and social media that's helping you to bring membership to, well, essentially to both of your membership sites?
Right. So I will say the super tool that I use all the time is Sprout Social. Very similar sites are like Hootsuite, which is another popular one, but it is a platform where you can disseminate messages from Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, LinkedIn, all from one site, all from one page. So in terms of multitasking and working for an organization like Share My Lesson, who has several different social media platforms, and we want to get out several different messages a day, it's great to have a platform like Sprout Social, where I don't have to go to each individual site every day and post. I can do it all from one account and one site. So that's amazing in terms of allowing me to multitask efficiently. I can also check and see if anyone sent me messages, and respond to them right from that site. And it helps because it's a really powerful engagement tool. ShareMyLesson.com is a website for educators, and when we say educators, we mean teachers, parents, school support staff, even community organizations. Anyone that works with students is really titled educator. It's for educators to visit the site. They can search and download um, teaching materials from lesson plans, handouts, games, activities for pre-K through grade 12. And if they have great materials, we encourage them to upload and share. So it's this collaborative environment all online for educators. We want to help save them time and stress, and not have to worry about creating a lesson plan at the 11th hour, when a great teacher in the next city over may have something similar that they can use. And so getting back to the engagement tool of a platform like Sprout Social is that I can engage these people. I can track when they're online, when they're using these certain social media channels, to communicate with them some of the great offerings we have on the site. Our members have grown. In less than 3 years, we have 750,000 subscribers to the site. All access to the site is absolutely free. And so we're learning that they're finding out about our services through the social media channels we have, through some partner engagement, and through some one-on-one interaction when we go to some of the events that they participate in. But in that regard, Sprout Social is a great way to track engagement and get members to the site. Wine and
Awesome.
Cheese, on the other hand, is a little different, in that we are a fairly new nonprofit organization. We've been around for 4 years, but kind of under the radar. It started as just small groups of women getting together, and it actually grew by word of mouth. So there is still value in word of mouth, one-on-one interaction, and even face-to-face interaction. So we actually just started our social media channels on Twitter, Facebook, and most recently Instagram. So I will get back to you on how we're engaging our members that way.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, what's interesting is I don't know if it was intentional or not, but in essence, I did get to see a PR strategy in real life because you were selected to be a panelist for a pretty large event through a very large organization. Um, and I was able to learn about your website then. And I think that was kind of important because a lot of people, when they think about growing their website, especially, the coaches and the authors, and even my colleagues who are mostly other types of virtual assistants, because there's all kinds of us, like graphic designers, web designers, etc. And
Mm-hmm.
and we typically think about growing our website only through online because it's online.
Right.
And you showed me that there's ways to garner traffic. Did I say that right? We're going to keep it moving either way.
Yep.
Um, because of strategies like speaking at live
Right.
events. So,
Yes.
how does one um kind of put that kind of strategy into play? Because a lot of people don't think about that. Like, let me get traffic to my website by speaking, not just networking, but like, sitting at the top of the round table.
Right, right. So, funny enough, I'm really big on vision boards, and I've been doing them for 3 years now. And this year, I had this crazy random idea that I wanted to engage in public speaking opportunities. And I had been looking up organizations like Toastmasters and, where are there opportunities where I can, craft a message and deliver it effectively. And uh, I did not at all reach out to the Urban League, the organization that invited me to speak on their panel. That was a word of mouth introduction. Someone was talking about wine and cheese to one of the board members. She visited the site, loved it, and contacted me. But there is power in public speaking. And just from, my 1 hour panel discussion, I met you, I met several other women who were able to visit the site and join and become members, which is an amazing result. But I do believe that there's power in not only public speaking, but effective storytelling. So you can, again, relate to the public when you are telling a story that may have relevance to someone else in the audience. It's all about knowing who is in your audience and kind of crafting, whether it's the same message or not, crafting it so that they can relate. And from that opportunity, I was able to secure other public speaking opportunities. So it wasn't a part of the strategy right away. It was something that I had envisioned for the year. And so I'm actually now on the back end creating the strategy because the opportunities presented themselves ahead of time. But public speaking is there's a lost art in face-to-face interaction that we sometimes lose with the birth of social media. But I want people to understand that it is still a very important and valuable way to communicate. And to your point, we're seeing how it's still working, it's still relevant, and it's still necessary.
Awesome, awesome. I love that. So yeah, because the thing is, I think more than anything was very much so confirmed to just get out there live.
Right.
Stop always hiding behind your computer screen. And I know I have to say that to myself too because I am so diva stay behind the computer screen.
And you know what? It's funny because a when I decided to major in public relations, it was for that very reason. PR people kind of stayed behind the scenes. I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I just kind of wanted to tell the story from behind. But as you become an entrepreneur, you know that you are your brand, right? So, your face and your name are associated with your brand. And people, again, relate to a person versus, an organization. And when they see that you are really sold into your message and your mission, it makes them want to get on board as well.
Awesome, awesome. So I am, curious, and I know we're running out of time here. You are, juggling these pieces, and I am curious, do you have, now I know with the education center, you're a part of a larger team, which, you know what, this will make this question even easier. Um, One of the things here that I believe in is obviously implementation, but I also firmly believe that implementation by yourself makes you very overwhelmed and you burn out much faster. So,
Absolutely agree.
so I'm curious, do you have any advice for those who are, trying to grow a site, um, and might also still be juggling helping to grow a site of somebody else that they teamed up with? How does one decide what to delegate and who to delegate to?
Well, I'm glad you said that because that was going to be one of my first tips is definitely delegate. Everyone knows what their strong suits are. Stick to your strong suits. And there's no bad idea in delegating what may take more time or more energy out of you that you may not be strongest in. I think sometimes we get so caught up in the organization, especially as entrepreneurs, that we don't want to share responsibility because we have our own vision for how it should go, and so we want to make sure that we are responsible for implementing it successfully. But to your point, you will get burned out and overwhelmed, and therefore the organization will suffer. So what I do is I have a team of people. So even in social media, I have a who I call a social media guru, Chastity, on my team, who can give me advice. She's up on the latest, platform, or the latest way of disseminating information, and so I make sure that I have her in my corner when I can't be as devoted to social media, to step in and help and handle that for me. Additionally, I have someone in marketing who has an extensive background in marketing who can keep me updated on the latest trends and say, you know what, this is what we've been doing and it's been working, but I think this is going to be the next wave. Let's try it. And you got to have those people that are knowledgeable, that are willing to take risks, but are overall committed to the mission and vision of your organization. And that will really relieve a lot of stress. Trust me. Trying to do it all is not the best way to see it through, because ultimately it will have a negative impact not only on you, but on the organization and what you are trying to accomplish. So delegate, and stick to what you know best, and in areas where you think you're not as strong, reach out to people who are, and create this well-rounded team that can then serve.
Awesome. Love that. Love that. So, Natalie, we are winding down. So, can you leave us with one final takeaway or action step that we can put to immediate use as it relates to everything you just said? And also, please let our audience know where they can find you so that they can get some more power boosters from you.
Sure. One tip would be to know your audience and how they prefer to communicate. You can't go wrong. As long as you know who you're communicating with, you can craft the right message, which will spark the best engagement and ultimately support the success of your organization. So know your audience, know how to communicate with them, and you'll be all set. You'll all be set. And so, anyway, if you want to reach out to me, I can be reached at foreverywine@gmail.org. It's FOREVERYWHINE.org, or I'm sorry, at gmail.com. But the website address for Wine and Cheese, my women's nonprofit organization, is foreverywine.org. So our slogan is for every wine, there is a cheese or reason to smile. So we have branded our social media channels and website accordingly. So that's where I can be found.
Awesome, awesome. And I'll be sure to put all that on the website with your interview
Awesome.
as well. Awesome. So, again, Natalie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lynette, for having me. This was fun. A great way to
Awesome.
start my morning, my day.
Yeah, yeah, I'm feeling awake now. And, yeah, see, for every wine I had earlier today, like, oh, it's too early. Now I'm cheesing.
Right. You got it. It's that easy.
Awesome, awesome. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Until the next time, take care.
Bye.